You have been there. You are staring at the scale and the numbers simply will not budge. You have tracked every single gram of protein. You have skipped the office birthday cake. You have spent hours on the treadmill until your legs feel like lead. For the first few weeks, it worked. The weight dropped and you felt unstoppable. But then you hit it. The wall, that invisible barrier where your progress does not just slow down, it vanishes into thin air. You feel betrayed by your own effort. You start to wonder if your metabolism is broken, or if your genetics are just rigged against you. I am Zara, and I have spent my entire career dissecting the bridge between clinical research and the messy reality of human behavior. I am not just a researcher. I am your proxy in this fight, because I have sat across from hundreds of people who feel exactly like you do right now. I am here to tell you something that might be hard to hear, but it is the truth you need. Your body is not broken. In fact, it is performing with perfect efficiency. What you call a plateau, your biology calls a success. You are fighting against a sophisticated, multi-layered survival program that has been refined over millions of years of evolution. Your body does not care about your aesthetic goals or the wedding you have coming up in 3 months. It does not understand that food is abundant and that you are safe. It views your caloric deficit as a mortal threat. It thinks you are starving in a wilderness where resources are scarce. To save your life, it has triggered a biological override that is designed to shut down weight loss at all costs. In this video, we are going to stop guessing and start analyzing. We are going to look at the exact mechanisms that turn your own physiology against you. You are not failing. You are just playing a game where you do not yet understand the rules. It is time to stop fighting your biology and start outsmarting it. Most of you begin this journey with a very simple, albeit flawed, equation in your head. You believe that if you just eat less and move more, the weight must disappear. It sounds logical on paper, but your biology does not operate like a basic calculator. Instead, you enter what I call the frustration cycle. You slash your calories to unsustainable levels and attempt to compensate for every morsel of food by spending hours on a treadmill. You are working harder, but you are receiving diminishing returns. This is where the psychological toll begins to manifest. You wake up exhausted, your joints ache, and your mood is volatile. Yet, when the scale does not move, your first instinct is to push even harder. You cut another 200 calories. You add another 30 minutes of steady-state cardio. You believe that you just need more willpower. You tell yourself that you are being weak if you feel hungry or tired. But you are not being weak. You are being human. From a medical perspective, you are essentially screaming at your body that there is a famine. When you combine chronic caloric restriction with excessive aerobic stress, your body initiates a survival protocol. Your thyroid hormones begin to downregulate. Your levels of cortisol, the primary stress hormone, remain chronically elevated. High cortisol tells your body to hold on to fat, specifically in the abdominal region, as a protective measure. At the same time, your brain begins to fight you. Your leptin levels drop, which means you never feel full, and your ghrelin levels skyrocket, making you obsess over food. This is not a failure of character. It is a sophisticated biological counter-response designed to keep you alive. You cannot outrun a metabolic adaptation with sheer grit. Eventually, your non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or the calories you burn just by existing and moving naturally, will plummet. You are now trapped in a state where you are eating almost nothing and exercising constantly, yet your fat loss has completely stalled. You have reached the point of metabolic burnout, and it is time to admit that the harder you push, the more your body will push back. You are fighting a war against your own biology, and right now you are losing because you do not understand the rules of engagement. While you are obsessing over the numbers on your fitness tracker, 3 powerful endocrine gatekeepers are deciding the fate of every single calorie you consume. These are insulin, cortisol, and leptin. They do not care about your willpower. They only care about your survival. When you are chronically stressed and sleep-deprived, your body enters a state of perceived emergency. Your adrenal glands flood your system with cortisol, In an ancestral context, this was meant to provide quick energy to outrun a predator. In the modern world where your predator is a deadline or a lack of sleep, that cortisol stays elevated. High cortisol levels tell your body one thing: winter is coming. It signals your system to protect your most vital organs by storing visceral fat deep within your midsection. This is not just a cosmetic issue, this is a survival mechanism. This flood of cortisol triggers a secondary response from insulin. Even if you are eating a low-carbohydrate diet, elevated stress hormones can cause your liver to dump glucose into your bloodstream. Your insulin levels rise to manage that sugar, and because insulin is a storage hormone, it effectively locks the doors to your fat cells. You can be in a massive caloric deficit, but if insulin and cortisol are high, your body cannot access its own fat stores for fuel. It would rather break down your muscle tissue than touch those precious fat reserves. Then we have leptin, the hormone that is supposed to tell your brain that you have enough energy. When you are burnt out, your brain stops listening to leptin. You become leptin resistant. Your brain thinks you are starving even when you are carrying excess weight. This is why you feel hungry even after a meal and why your metabolism slows to a crawl. You are not lazy and you are not weak. You are biologically throttled. Until you address your stress and your sleep, you are essentially trying to drive a car with the parking brake pulled all the way up. You cannot outwork a hormonal environment that is screaming for protection. That parking brake has a medical name. It is called adaptive thermogenesis. In the clinical world, we also refer to it as metabolic adaptation. Think of your body as a highly sophisticated survival machine that has been refined over millions of years. It does not care about your aesthetic goals or your desire to fit into a smaller pair of jeans. It cares about one thing and one thing only: survival. When you slash your calories and push your output, your brain perceives a famine. It triggers a biological defense mechanism designed to keep you alive on as little fuel as possible. This is where your basal metabolic rate begins to crater. Your mitochondria, the power plants of your cells, become hyper-efficient. They learn to produce the same amount of energy while burning fewer calories. You are literally becoming a more fuel-efficient vehicle, which is the last thing you want when your goal is fat loss. You want to be a gas guzzler. You want to be inefficient, but your biology has other plans. The downregulation does not stop at the cellular level. It moves into your behavior through a process called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, or NEAT. You stop fidgeting. You sit down more often. Your posture even shifts slightly to conserve energy. You do not notice these changes because they are subconscious. You think you are working just as hard, but your body is cutting corners behind your back to save every single calorie it can. Simultaneously, your endocrine system joins the sabotage. Your thyroid gland slows the production of active T3 hormones. This is the master regulator of your metabolism. When T3 drops, your internal furnace cools down. Your levels of leptin, the hormone that tells your brain you are full, plummet. Meanwhile, ghrelin, the hunger hormone, screams at you to eat. You are now trapped in a physiological pincer movement. Your body has lowered its energy requirements while increasing your drive to consume. This is not a lack of willpower. It is a total systemic override. You are fighting against a metabolic brake that is designed to win every single time. Until you understand the science of this adaptation, you will continue to beat your head against the wall of your own biology. So, how do we stop fighting and start negotiating? We have to move away from the outdated concept of restriction and embrace the reality of signaling. Your body does not count calories. It reads signals. When you starve yourself, you are signaling a famine. Your brain responds by shutting down non-essential systems and ramping up hunger. To reverse this, we must implement the metabolic reset protocol. The first pillar is protein leverage. Your biology has a specific requirement for amino acids to maintain your organs, your immune system, and your muscle tissue. If you do not meet that threshold, your brain will keep your hunger signals dialed to the maximum until you find what it needs. This is why you cannot stop eating hyper-palatable junk food. You are searching for nutrients that are not there. By prioritizing high-quality protein, you signal to your system that the building blocks of life are abundant. This shuts down the search and creates actual satiety. The second pillar is shifting your movement focus. Stop viewing exercise as a way to burn off your dinner. That is a losing game. Instead, use resistance training to increase your mitochondrial density. Your mitochondria are the power plants of your cells. When you lift heavy weights and challenge your musculature, you are literally demanding that your body create more energy-producing machinery. You are increasing your metabolic floor. You are making your body more expensive to run, even while you are sleeping. Finally, you must implement maintenance phases. Chronic dieting is a chronic stressor that wreaks havoc on your thyroid and your reproductive hormones. By intentionally eating at maintenance levels for several weeks, you signal safety to your nervous system. You are telling your body that the hunt was successful and the threat of starvation has passed. This restores your hormonal balance and prevents the metabolic crash that ruins most weight loss attempts. You cannot live in a deficit forever. You must teach your body how to exist in a state of metabolic peace before you can ask it to change again. This state of metabolic peace is not just a feeling, it is a biological requirement for fat oxidation. Most of you are living your lives in a state of chronic sympathetic overdrive. Your nervous system is stuck in fight or flight mode. You are constantly stressed by your career, your lack of sleep, and your excessive caffeine intake. When your body perceives a threat, it does not care about your aesthetic goals. It cares about survival. In a sympathetic state, your body prioritizes quick energy from glucose and suppresses the breakdown of stored body fat. Why would it release its long-term energy reserves when it thinks it might need them to outwit a predator tomorrow? To unlock those reserves, you must force a shift into the parasympathetic state. This is the rest and digest mode. This is where the actual fat loss happens. It is only when your nervous system feels safe that it allows the hormonal signals for lipolysis to actually reach your fat cells. You cannot scream at your metabolism to work harder while you are simultaneously drowning it in cortisol. Cortisol is the absolute enemy of fat oxidation. It tells your body to hoard every single calorie you consume and to protect the fat you already have at all costs. This shift is not just about deep breathing or taking a nap. It is about biochemical signaling. This is where micronutrient density becomes your most powerful tool. Think of micronutrients as the physical keys that turn the locks of your metabolic machinery. You cannot expect your body to transition into a state of repair and release if it lacks the magnesium, the zinc, and the B vitamins required to fuel those complex enzymatic reactions. When you provide your body with high levels of micronutrients, you are sending a loud and clear message to your brain. The environment is plentiful. The threat is gone. When you combine a regulated nervous system with a flood of essential nutrients, you remove the biological friction that has been holding you back. You are no longer fighting against your own survival instincts. You are finally working with your biology. This is how you move from hoarding energy to burning it. This is how you achieve permanent change without the constant internal warfare. For a long time, you have probably felt like your body was your own worst enemy. You have looked in the mirror and felt betrayed by the very cells that are supposed to sustain you. But I want you to understand something fundamental. Your body is not broken. It is not lazy. It is actually a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering that has kept our species alive through ice ages and global famines. You have been blaming your biology for doing its job too well. Every time you tried to starve yourself or overtrain, and your body fought back by slowing your metabolism or triggering intense hunger, it was not trying to ruin your life, it was trying to save it. Your biology does not know that there is a grocery store on every corner. It thinks you are in a period of extreme scarcity. It is doing exactly what it was designed to do for millions of years. It is protecting you from what it perceives as a threat to your survival. The frustration you feel is not a failure of will. It is a failure of communication. You have been shouting at your body in a language it does not speak. You have been using brute force when you should have been using biological data. When you change the inputs, you change the outputs. This is not about winning a war. It is about ending one. It is about finally having a real conversation with your physiology instead of trying to silence it with extreme diets or unsustainable habits. You do not need more discipline. You need more clarity. You need to stop punishing yourself for having survival instincts that work too well. Take a deep breath and realize that you and your body are finally on the same team. You have the tools now. You have the science. Now you just need the patience to let your biology respond to the new healthy signals you are sending. This is the path to a life where health is not a constant chore but a natural state of being. You are capable of this because your body is already brilliant. You just had to learn how to listen to it. I will see you in the next video.